The truth called faith. Faith is not some soft, meaningless little word that tickles your lips when you say it. Faith is not some cliché that the idiots of the world have printed on their coffee mugs or use as whispers in their hollow, unheard prayers. Faith is the iron chain that binds the believing soul to Yahweh's holy commandments and kingdom. Faith is the fuel of uncompromising obedience, the evidence of loyalty, and the very breath that sustains the chosen until the gates of heaven's kingdom are opened before us. Without the correct application of faith, it is impossible to please the Almighty, because whomever comes to the Almighty must first believe that He truly exists and that He rewards those who diligently seek Him. Yet, mankind plays with the Holy Scriptures as though faith were nothing more than a sentiment. But the Scriptures burn through the lies of humankind, because faith without the accompanying actions is dead, being without proof or validity. Faith does not rest, nor is it just a matter of words, because faith is an action. It is not a nod of agreement. It is obedience that endures forever. The faithful are those who renounce our own human will, those who crucify their desires of the flesh, and those who walk away from the false security of this age. The man and woman of faith views life not as a means of self-preservation, but as a battlefield to test their obedience. They see death not as defeat, but as a transition, for they know that the grave cannot hold those who belong to the Messiah. Look at your family, your blood ties, and your circle of loved ones. If you love, remember, to love means to obey. If you love your dad or mother, son or daughter more than Yahshua Messiah, you are not worthy of being with Him. Faith does not give in to family pressure, nor does it bend to keep the peace with the blood relatives that reject Yahweh's truth. Faith knows that eternity is worth more than temporary approval from temporary human beings. What about your so-called friends and associates? If they try to drag you toward unrighteousness, they are no friends at all. Buckle up, this ride gets bumpy. Listen very carefully to the truth. What does light have to do with darkness? Do not be unequally yoked together with unbelievers. Makes no difference who they are. Real faith demands separation. Companionship must be measured by holiness, not by convenience. What about the grind of employment, the daily hustle, that endless toil of secular survival? The man or woman of faith does not worship their employment or that paycheck. Whatever he or she does, they do it as unto Yahweh Almighty, not unto mankind. That's why we excel in whatever we do. Promotions mean absolutely nothing if they require you to compromise your obedience to the commandments. Income means nothing if it demands the breaking of Yahweh's law. The faithful would rather lose career, position, and paycheck than to betray the King of all eternity. Faith is a sword, not a motionless blanket. It slices away the excuses, the compromises, and the worldliness that so easily traps us to sin. It is written, "Love not the world, neither the things that are in it. For if you love the world, the love of the Father is not in you." Faith separates, faith consecrates, and faith endures. Through much tribulation we enter the kingdom of Yahweh, but the faithless fall away in the fire. But the faithful few cling to the promises with an ironclad grip, knowing that our trials mold righteous character, that our tribulations refine us, and that endurance crowns us with glory when He is revealed. The crown of life is not handed to the casual reader or the part-time believer. It is promised to those who are faithful unto death. That is the demand. Not faith for a season, not faith just when it's convenient for you, but faith unto death. Faith that walks into ridicule, faith that embraces shame, faith that suffers the loss of all things material just to gain the Messiah. The kingdom of heaven is not for the double-minded, it is not for the half-hearted, and definitely not for the worldly. It is for those who press toward the mark, those who labor for the prize, those who endure for the inheritance that was prepared for them from the foundation of the world. So hear this: anything less than that is counterfeit faith. Anything less than that is useless effort. You cannot serve Yahweh in money. You cannot cling to this world and grasp hold of eternal life. You cannot claim salvation while rejecting obedience to the commandments. The kingdom demands more. The kingdom demands faith that bleeds into action, faith that sacrifices the old self, faith that endures until the end, faith that obeys all righteousness no matter the cost, faith that lifts its eyes beyond the grave to secure the promise of everlasting life. The hour is late, the judgment is near, and the gate is narrow. The question is not whether you believe, but whether your faith burns hot enough to carry you through the great tribulation. Is it strong enough to endure betrayal? Is it fierce enough to obey when the world turns against you? Without that faith, you will not enter the kingdom where only righteousness dwells. But with it, a faith that has been tested, a faith that has been proven, and a faith that has been lived. You will hear these words, "Come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world." In Messiah's name, service, and right hand, so be it.